So, I heard you like explosions. Many explosions, is that so? Well, you came to the right place. I'll just put it like this. If Michael Bay would have to create a class in Lost Ark, he would have created this class, the Artillerist. It never ends. Explosions are just part of their daily life now. You shoot rockets, you throw mines, and I don't know, you just make things go boom. Enough. Let's talk about Artillerist in a nutshell. The Artillerist actually has a pretty cool and interesting playstyle. While you certainly just bomb away, there's a lot more to it. You have a firepower gauge in the middle of your UI at the bottom, and whenever you use a skill, this fills up more. As you're also able to tell, there's technically seen 4 different stages. The no damage boost, the 10%, 20%, and the full 30% boost stages. Once you fill up your gauge completely, you get a 20-second 30% damage boost until you go back into cooldown mode. During this time, you want to nuke everything in front of you. See it as a type of burst window. Once you do have filled up your gauge completely, you also get access to your bombardment mode, which allows you to take out your siege cannon that you apparently carry in your pocket. The fun thing about the Artillerist is that you are actually pretty fast on your feet. You mainly focus on getting agility and critical, which means that you have low cooldowns and you are also pretty speedy. The good thing or the bad thing, however you might see this, is that the class engraving that the blaster uses actually does not change its playstyle. For the video though, we have to pretend that only one of the 2 engravings exists because seriously, Smilegates, the second class engraving is literally useless unless you like to use this set specifically for chaos dungeons or mobbing. So yeah, we're gonna talk about Enhanced Siege. This engraving is actually fantastic because it simply gives you free critical hit chance during your firepower stages, up to a total of 35 during your biggest window. Now if that wasn't good enough, it also decreases your damage taken by 30%, which makes this class also really tanky. You honestly can get away with face tanking a lot compared to other classes. Right, so now you have a general idea of what the Artillerist plays like. Let's have a look at the rotation in a raid setting. By the way, if you are enjoying the video so far, please leave a like and consider subscribing. The idea behind the blaster is to fit in 2 of your big damage skills in your stage 3 firepower. This is why CDR aka agility is extremely necessary and cooldown gems are required too. So your cycle is pretty straightforward. Fill up your gauge until level 1, use your nukes, fill it until flamethrower comes back up, use flamethrower to push to level 3 and voila, you're in your burst. After using your nukes, you use bombardment kit and only use the energy beam and howitzer until you leave it and then use your big nukes again. Rinse and repeat. Now, let's talk about how I feel about the Artillerist. Warning, the upcoming segment is about my personal opinion on how I feel. I have to admit, I never really bothered with the Artillerist. I wrote it off as something slow and boring and I didn't even want to try it. Then I got a free boost on a Russian servers a while back and said, hey, let's boost the nuke guy. And man, am I happy I did. This class is absolutely nuts. It has really good damage in my opinion, feels really fun to play and also allows you to be a bit cheeky with ignoring mechanics because you get a free shield. The rotation is quite interesting in my opinion, keeps you on your toes. You don't just mindlessly use whatever skill is available to you. You gotta be aware of your gauge at all times, gotta position yourself properly, and most of all, kinda predict where the target will be because, well, your big nukes are delayed. And that makes it even more interesting, honestly. And the best part is that you can do all of this from a distance. You don't need to be in melee range at all times. You also have decent impairment and destruction that you bring to your party. The best part is that you can pretty much ignore positionals and you can be a turret. What else do you need? If you have written off the Artillerist, I'm here on a mission to convince you to give this class a try. I never expected myself to enjoy this, and yet here I am, sad whenever I have finished my dailies on this class because it is genuinely a lot of fun to play. Finally, let's get into the specifics with stats, engravings and skills, starting off with the skills. By the way, I will also be linking a skill tree in the description below for you. First, we'll focus on our main damage, the missile bombing. It is a big fat delayed nuke that does insane damage. It's our longest delay skill, so you really gotta make sure to properly place this so it hits the target. Our next very similar skill is the airstrike. It pretty much does the same, just a little bit faster. Those two are your main nukes and are your biggest source of damage. Another skill purely used for its damage output is the rocket barrage. It locks you into place and fires several rockets at the target. It also has decent engaging trees, and honestly it also looks pretty damn cool. Moving on to the flamethrower, which in this game, unlike in other MMOs, is actually useful. Wink, Final Fantasy XIV. It generates massive gauge and is the main reason you use it. Again, this also looks pretty fucking badass. Next up is Enhanced Shot, which is mainly used for applying a debuff to your target that decreases its resistances by 12%. Your whole party benefits from this, so you want to keep this up at all times. And let's be real here, what would any good machinist or artillerist be without its turrets? So you get to use two of those, put them down, and let them do their thing. Obviously, we cannot forget about our shield. Depending on the tripod, it also allows you to either ignore crowd control or shield the whole party, which is pretty cool, honestly. And lastly, used for the counter-attack only, we have the napalm shot. Seriously, we only really use this for the counter-attack and maybe some gauge generation. In your siege mode, you want to use your shield, the energy beam and the howitzer. The machine gun is just really slow and not efficient. You want to just go in this mode, use the skills and get out again as soon as possible. You can also use this to cheese certain mechanics because it locks you into place. On the Artillerist, you want to get agility as your main stat and critical as your secondary. But now let's talk about engravings. The three mandatory and most important engravings certainly are Enhanced Siege, Grudge and Sharp Blunt. After you've got those three, you can opt to go for Cursed Doll, Adrenaline or Massacre. Lastly, other more situational but still good engravings are the Barricade, Steady State and lastly the Spirit Absorption. And that's about it. Now you know everything there is to know about the Artillerist. Again, I can only really recommend to you to not write this class off. The only downside it has honestly is that it causes a lot of screen clutter. I feel a bit sorry for my teammates whenever I play Blaster. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel to support me as a content creator. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can also come and check out my Twitch channel on which I stream several times a week and follow me on Twitter. Anything helps me to continue making the content I love and help you guys learn Lost Ark more and more. Thank you so much for watching, wishing you a great rest of your day, wherever you live.